Hello, YouTubers. So, in today's episode, we will be covering the vice presidential debate that took over this past Tuesday, and we will discuss on the immigration. There's a lot of talks about how the uh, how the mic was cut off from JD Vance, and we're gonna talk about that. So stay tuned, and we will dive deep into a discussion, and then afterwards you can comment below and on what you thought. All right, stay tuned and stay to the end. All right, this should be interesting. All right, so before we begin, so there's a few areas where we can start. So some of the areas where you might seen on media or YouTube, or it starts off with the mediator discussing or telling the JD Vance how fact checking JD Vance on the illegal immigrants, what he stated. So I think we're gonna start where JD Vance, how he made his statement. So we're gonna start first, his statement that he made previous before the moderator made that statement. All right, so let's look through that. All right, so we all know what's going on. Yeah, all right, so let me pull this video.
You have said repeatedly that Donald Trump would, through executive action, solve this. Do you disagree that Congress controls the purse strings and would need to support many of the changes that you would actually want to implement? You have 1 minute.
Look, Margaret, first of all, the gross majority of what we need to do at the southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border more than our borders are. Kamala Harris has been, and it's actually heartbreaking because the Border Patrol agents, they just want to be empowered to do their job. Of course, additional resources would help, but most of this is about the president and the vice president empowering our law enforcement to say, if you try to come across the border illegally, you've got to stay in Mexico, you've got to go back through proper channels. Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed, you've got hospitals that are overwhelmed, you've got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim, and I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim, and I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Senator, your time is up. Governor.
All right, so you heard JD Vance made that statement from Springfield, Ohio. But now let's hear that he was Tim Walz. He was the one that first initiated the Ohio. Now let's take a look at that, because he was the one who first brought it up. Let's listen to it.
Governor, Do you care to respond to any of those specific allegations, including that the vice president is, quote, letting in fentanyl and using kids as drug mules, among other things regarding children?
The drug mule is not true, but I will say about this, about the fentanyl, because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history. 30% decrease in Ohio, but there's still more work to do. But let's go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris is the Attorney General of the largest state in the border state in California.
Tim
She's the only
Walz,
person in this race
he was the
who
one that
prosecuted
first
transnational gangs
brought
for
up
human trafficking
Ohio.
and drug interventions. But look, we all want to
Then
solve
second,
most of us want to solve this,
JD
and that is
Vance
the United States Congress.
brought up
That's the Border Patrol agents. That's the Chamber of Commerce. That's most Americans
since
out here.
Tim
That's why we had the fairest
Walz
and the
brought
toughest
up
bill
Ohio,
on
then
immigration that this nation's seen. It
JD
was
Vance
crafted by
elaborated
conservative
what he had
senator
stated.
from Oklahoma, James Langford. I know
Okay.
he's super conservative, but he's a man of principle.
So
wants to
let's
get it
play
done.
this clip
Democrats
again.
and Republicans in Ohio, but there's still more work to do. But let's go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the largest state, a border state in California. She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this. And that is the United States Congress. That's the Border Patrol agents. That's the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
That's most Americans out here. That's what.
So you heard it. You heard Tim Walz bring up the Ohio. Now let's listen to the moderator bring fact checking the JD Vance. The moderator is fact checking JD Vance on the Springfield, Ohio.
To clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status. Nora?
But
Thank you.
Senator, we have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
We're
because
going to turn now to the
debate-
economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that
The
you guys
economy,
weren't going to
we're-
fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That
Thank
is
you,
the
Senator.
facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret.
So
by
we're
Thank
gonna
you,
talk
Senator,
about
for
the,
describing the legal
CBP.
process. We have so much to get to, Senator. We have
laws
so
have been on
much.
the books since
Explain what
1990.
that is.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
Let's-
We
CBP
want to
One
have,
app has
So
not
stay
been on the
tuned for
books.
that.
Since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora?
Thank you, Margaret.
So, as you saw the video, the moderator fact checked JD Vance, but when JD Vance tried to defend himself, then CBS cut his mic. They didn't allow JD Vance to defend himself. Do you find that fair? Comment below and state your opinion and see if that was fair. If they'd allowed, if you think that was fair, that JD Vance had a right to defend his previous statement, or CBS had a right to cut him off and not have the right to defend himself. On the other hand, as you heard JD Vance state that they had agreement that CBS wouldn't fact check the candidates, and I also believe that Tim Walz wasn't fact checked. If he did, comment below. From my understanding that he was not fact checked, but I could be wrong. So, let's get into my research. The JD Vance sparks controversy in the vice presidential debate. His mic was cut off after the immigration clash with the moderators. So during the exchange in the vice presidential debate, Ohio State Senator JD Vance found himself at the center of a controversy when his microphone was cut off. The confrontation began when moderator Margaret Brennan brought up the sensitive issue of Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. Vance had raised concerns about illegal immigration overwhelming local infrastructure, including schools and hospitals, and pointed to Springfield as an example. So we heard JD Vance made that statement. I believe that was the first video. Brennan quickly pushed back, clarifying that many of the Haitian migrants in Springfield are there legally through temporary protected status, which is abbreviated as TPS. TPS allows individuals from countries facing war, natural disasters, or other extreme conditions to live or work in the U.S. legally, and Brennan noted that these individuals should not be grouped with illegal immigrants. Vance's reaction and the microphone incident. Vance protested Brennan's fact check, stating that the debate rules clearly stipulated that moderators would not engage in live fact checking during the event, which the moderator did fact check JD Vance. He argued that if fact checking was to take place, it should involve a broader discussion of immigration policies and their effects on American communities rather than a narrow focus on legal status alone. At this moment, CBS briefly cut Vance's microphone in an effort to move the debate forward, leading to a notable disruption. The decision to mute him became a point of contention as the audience and Vance himself believed that he was being silenced unfairly. So this is where I want the listeners, the viewers, to comment if Vance was fairly treated, if CBS had a right to cut him off, if Vance had a right to elaborate what the moderator had made that statement, because Vance was stating about the CBP program, but they cut his mic off. They didn't let him talk. But I'm going to explain a little bit more what the CBP One program, and here it is. The CBP One app and legal status misconceptions. As the debate unfolded, a key issue was whether the use of the CBP One app, a tool that helps asylum seekers and migrants schedule appointments with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, confers legal status on its users. While the app is designed to help facilitate legal entry processes, It does not automatically make someone a legal immigrant in the U.S. It simply allows individuals, including asylum seekers, to apply for legal entry or submit documentations to CBP. Users of the CBP One app may be So these are some of the options that may apply to the CBP One app. So number one, asylum seekers attempting to enter the U.S. legally, migrants with temporary protected status, TPS for short, or other forms of legal standings. Number three, individuals awaiting legal processing outcomes. So, however, merely using the app or scheduling an appointment does not provide automatic legal status. Legal immigration status depends on the outcome of the asylum or immigration process, and individuals still need to meet U.S. immigration requirements to gain or maintain legal entry into the country. Thus, Vance's broader point about legal status and the app had some validity. Vance's nuances argument, the strain of resources. While Margaret Brennan's statement about TPS holders being legally present was accurate, Vance's argument involved a larger issue, the impact of immigration on local communities. Vance suggested that the broader immigration system, including tools like the CBP One app, still puts a strain on local infrastructure such as schools and hospitals, regardless of whether the migrants have legal status or not. Vance's argument reflected concerns that even though TPS holders are legally in the U.S., many communities feel overwhelmed by the influx of migrants. He highlighted that current immigration policies, while granting legal status to some, might not adequately protect or support legal resources and infrastructure, particularly in smaller communities like Springfield, Ohio. Balancing legal statuses and infrastructure concerns. The debate between Vance and Brennan showcased two valid perspectives. Brennan was correct in noting that TPS holders are legally present and should not be categorized as illegal immigrants. However, Vance is concerned about the broader impact of immigration on resources like healthcare and education, reflect real anxieties in communities where an influx of migrants can strain local systems, regardless of their legal status. Vance's attempt to point out that even legal immigrants, including those who use the CBP One app, may contribute to these issues speaks to a broader national conversation about how immigration policies are managed and how they affect local communities. A debate with far-reaching implications. The clash between JD Vance and Margaret Brennan during the VP debate highlights a complexities of immigration policy and its effects on American society. While the focus of the debate was on whether or not Haitian migrants in Springfield have legal status, the larger issue involves the strain on local resources and how immigration, both legal and illegal, impacts communities. Vance's concerns about the overall immigration system resonated with many voters, while Brennan's focus on legal protection like temporary protected status served as a reminder that not all migrants are in the U.S. illegally. The decision to cut Vance's microphone added fuel to the controversy, raising questions about the fairness of the debate and the limits placed on the discussing complex, contentious issues. As the debate continues, it's clear that the intersections of legal immigration status and the realities of strained resources will remain a significant issue in political discourse. So, what do you think? Did JD Vance at a point why his mic was cut off? Comment below. Let's have a good discussion. And I would greatly appreciate your support so I can continue bring great content and to push the algorithm and for a wider audience. Really appreciate your subscription, your like, your share, your comments, and see you next time. Take care and enjoy the rest of the day. Take care and see you next time.